What's up everyone? Today we are going to be talking hydrofoiling. Because after riding left and hopefully also right, at one point you might want to turn. And this is where the tacks and the jibes come in. The jibes are a bit easier than the tacks, but in these 2 episode series I'm going to explain both to you down to the smallest detail. So let's start at the beginning. This is your first jibe.
Riding with the kite at 45 and steer it up towards 12. With half a second delay, follow the movement of the kite downwind. Pull the bar down and continue steering the kite towards 2. Continue your turn towards the wind to keep tension in the lines. Correct your kite before it reaches 2 so it doesn't fly into the water. Continue riding on a cross or upwind course if possible.
So even though this jibe looks so easy, and you've probably done it a couple of times already on your surfboard, there is still a few technical difficulties that you'll have to overcome. First of all, the timing. It's very important that you first steer your kite and then half second or a second later follow with your board. If you don't do this, most likely you'll ride too fast downwind or the kite doesn't move far enough, your lines will go slack and your kite might end up in the water, but most certainly you will end up in the water. Then the wind strength plays a massive role in this jibe, because if the winds are very light, it's easy to go faster than the wind. So therefore I recommend going out in some decent winds, try at least 14 knots or preferably a little bit stronger on a smaller kite, because that will make the jibe so much easier.
Enter the jibe at an upwind course with medium to low speed. Steer your kite up towards 12 and follow with half a second delay. Make sure to steer hard in order to move the kite with less line tension. Let go of the backhand in order to continue your toe side turn. Control the kite and continue riding toe side. Ride out on a cross or upwind course if possible.
Just before you initiate the jibe, it helps a lot if you edge a little bit upwind. This will slow you down and therefore make the turn a lot easier without slacking your lines. Another thing that will help a lot is letting go with that back hand. So when you go through the turn and through the jibe, just before you try edging back towards the wind on your toe side, let go with that back hand. This will open up your shoulders and make it easier to edge towards the wind. If you've successfully done this jibe a couple of times, you'll end up riding toe side. This is all fun and everything, probably not so easy in the beginning, so practice it quite a bit, but it helps a lot if from toe side you can now make another jibe back towards heel side. Like that, you can link up these turns and cruise around for a long time without even doing a foot switch. As I've mentioned before, it can be quite tricky to control your kite and make sure the lines don't slack in light wind conditions while doing the jibe. Therefore, it's actually easier to do a downloop jibe, but maybe you don't feel confident looping your kite yet on the foil. So that's exactly what we're gonna work on with the next exercise.
Ride in with medium speed and kite high in the wind window. Point the board downwind and pull hard on the front hand with the bar down. Follow the kite downwind to prevent an explosive pull of the kite. Continue steering the kite so it makes a full loop and points back at 11. Push the bar out a little and edge towards a crosswind course. Let the kite fly back towards the side of the wind window and untwist the lines when you have full control over the kite and your riding speed.
When you're looping the kite and riding downwind, it can actually be that you get very close or even faster than the speed of the wind. Therefore, it's very important to control the downwind angle that you have and therefore the tension on your lines. If you go too far downwind, your lines might slack. You go too far upwind, you could build up a lot of speed in that loop and therefore get yanked off the board. So there's a very fine line, but I'm sure you're going to find it. If you've done this successfully and you feel confident, it's time to start with the Downloop jibe.
Ride in with medium to low speed at an upwind course. Steer your kite up towards 11 before initiating the turn with your board. Pull your kite in a loop with the front hand, half a second after you initiated the turn. Feel free to let go of the back hand to continue your turn towards toe side. Make sure that your kite points towards 1 before you sheet out the bar. Only untwist your lines when you have full control.
The timing of the Downloop jibe is actually completely opposite to that of a normal jibe. Basically, this means that you lead throughout the entire turn. It's very important that your board points downwind before the kite is on the downwind side. Next to that, the size of the loops makes a massive difference. Don't loop it too big because it might build up too much tension and speed throughout the loop and therefore pull you off the board. Make it nice and small. Like that, it's going to be easier to control the loop without getting too much speed.
Pull the bar all the way down and steer hard to initiate the loop. Let go with the back hand to continue your toe side turn. Steer your kite back towards 1 and untwist the bar when you have full control. Continue riding toe side at a cross or upwind course if possible.
When doing the Downloop jibe, there's a few things you really want to pay attention to. One of them is the bar positioning. It's important that your bar is all the way down and cranked as far as possible. Like that, the kite will make a small loop and you won't build up too much speed. The other thing you might find is that through the Downloop jibe, you go quite fast and you shoot out of the water. Make sure that you apply a lot of front foot pressure throughout the Downloop jibe so you don't fly too high on your foil. If you've got this all dialed in, it's time to go to the next step, and that is the foot switch.
Steer your kite up towards 12:30 and edge the board on an upwind course. Pull down the bar to lift your weight on top of the foil and shift your feet. It helps to let go with the front hand to gain your stability.
When doing the foot switch, it's very important to keep pressure on the front of your board. You do this by taking your back foot, moving it over to the front foot, and then moving your front foot to the back of the board. If you don't do this, your foil will shoot out of the water and you will end up in the water. A good way to practice this is actually on a surfboard, so do give that a try if you have one available. If not, just go out on the foil and give it a try. Another thing that's very handy is the way you steer your kite. So let's have a look at that now.
Steer your kite up towards 12:30 and edge the board on an upwind course. Pull light on your right hand when pulling down the bar to direct the kite to the right. Steer the kite back towards 45 and continue riding.
As you can see in that video, I use my kite for stability and lift. This is especially something to keep in mind for next week. Because next week we are going to look at the Tack and the Rolltack. For now, this is it. I hope you enjoy. Go practice it out on the water. If you have questions, drop them down in the comments. Please give me a like and subscribe if you enjoy this content. I'll see you next week.